Kirk Cignetti and Rhett Lashley. Who do you guys think you are?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. We'll talk about Gametime here in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen every single day. We're going to get into one of Jimmy and mine's. I don't know. I never knew how to say that. Jimmy and my favorite player, and that's on the roster countdown. I'm not going to tell you who it is because it's going to be in the third segment. It's going to be a surprise. We're going to talk about how nuts Kirk Cignetti and Rhett Lashley are and just shoot down their borderline touched comments. I don't know. You know, I'm trying to say that nicely.
They belong in Arkham.
They do belong in Arkham.
I think they're crazy and evil. That's Arkham. That's not that bad.
Yeah. All right. So let's start though, and again, I've already got a headache about these newer NIL rules. We thought for a second now we all knew that when they came out with this rule about you're going to have to pass a clearinghouse, anything over $600. By the way, what an arbitrary, stupid number that was. I mean, that just meant that they were going to be inundated with stuff. But we all knew that once somebody actually challenged this legally, there's no chance this is going to hold up. It just had no chance. So we knew that would happen. We just didn't know it would happen like a month after they decided it. And actually, it was never even really challenged. It was like they got together and go, y'all know this ain't going to work, right? We better do something else. So now collectives are back in business. Okay. As an Alabama fan, again, I'm fine with it. I mean, we're not broke. We've got some money and we've got some donors and we've got some boosters who have money. Okay. But we don't have Texas and Texas A&M money.
Right.
And, you know, so that part of it kind of sucks, but I'm not going to complain too. I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. I mean, I'm fine with it. I just want to, I think I speak for the entire college football world. Can we just get some rules and we just go with it?
That would be nice. I think, I had an initial visceral reaction that ended up, I think, a little bit overreaction once Ross Dellinger from Yahoo and Pete Nakos from On3, they're kind of the main guys that do the reporting on this sort of stuff. Once I read through all of it, I think it's not exactly Shakespeare's line of wind and fury signifying nothing, but I think some are making too big a deal of it. The interpretation of this is incorrect if it is, so nothing has changed. We're going right back to what we were doing with collectives. That's not true whatsoever. That's not the case. All that changed, if you care to crawl into the weeds, is the initial thought from the CSC, that's the group that is in charge of this. Their initial thing was, look, if collectives are just paying players, we're not going to allow that anymore. We're going to reduce or even eliminate the idea that boosters give money to a collective and a collective turns around and hands money to the player. We're getting rid of that. That is still the case and is still true even today. But if what the collective is doing is facilitating the NIL deal, based on the rule yesterday, that is still allowable. Collectives that facilitate NIL deals for the athletes is still allowable. That was made very clear loudly yesterday. Here's why nothing really changed is the NIL Go system is unchanged. And what NIL Go was created to do and what it's supposed to do, which is review every NIL deal over $600. Every deal is reviewed, and you have to convince the officials at Deloitte who are reviewing this that the deal is for a legitimate business purpose, which means legit NIL, within what they call the range of compensation, which means what everybody else is getting paid for the same thing. Like if the Yay Alabama comes to them and says, our wide receivers are going to do an autograph show and they're getting paid $5,000 a piece. And Texas Tech sends the same thing saying, our wide receivers are going to an autograph show and they're getting paid $100,000 a piece. NIL Go is designed to say, whoa, Texas Tech, you cannot do that. Alabama's doing $5,000. Georgia's doing $6,000. Auburn's doing $4,800. South Alabama's doing $300. But no one's doing $100,000. You're speeding. This goes to jail. In other words, that would not be allowed. So as long as NIL Go is still intact and doing what they are supposed to do, then yesterday didn't mean too much. It only means collectives can continue to exist. Collectives can continue to serve their schools. Collectives can continue to work in gathering NIL for the players. They just have to be legitimate business purpose NIL deals. And that sentence that I just said, there's your next round of litigation, or there's your next round of contention. What is a legitimate business purpose and what is the range of compensation? That's all to be determined. But I think everybody knew, hey, this wasn't going to be decided overnight. This is complicated. It's new. There's going to be questions. And that's your next round. But anyone that just believes, oh, yesterday means nothing changed, we're going right back to what it was, that's not true. Or we might be on the road to that, but yesterday didn't decide that.
Well, first of all, I'd like to start an NIL collective or something for us here at Locked On Bama to get Jimmy a shirt that says 18 instead of 17.
Yeah, can you believe that? Yeah, I did.
If y'all could
This is Nick Saban's fault.
It is Nick Saban. He ruined your wardrobe.
He kept flipping the odometer.
All right. Secondly, that was what I was going to say. First of all, even if it did go back to what it was, nobody was really sure what that was either.
Correct.
So, to say we're going from a land of confusion to another land of confusion, just a different land, that doesn't help you much. Well, now, secondly, or thirdly, it dawned on me why you were saying that. Hey, Alabama's paying $5,000 for an autograph. Georgia's paying $6,000. I love how you made Auburn play $4,800.
Yeah, I threw that in.
That was a nice shot by you.
I was going off the top of my head, but I did think that was kind of a little funny.
Auburn's paying $4,800, South Alabama $300, and Texas Tech's paying $100,000. Well, let me say this: if I'm a Texas Tech guy, I'm going to say, hey, I'm over here. We don't have any history. We don't have this. We don't have 18 national championships. We hadn't won back-to-back national championships like Georgia recently. We don't have all the stuff to sell. We don't have LSU's history, Ohio State's history. We don't have that. So we have to pay more because that's the only way we can compete. Right. And in that sense, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, that argument might make some sense, but it's not a legitimate business purpose. I think under legitimate business purpose argument, their best argument is something is worth what someone is willing to pay for. That's all what business is. And when you got a fountain and you want a fountain out front in front of Wayne Gretzky's house, and Wayne Gretzky will pay $700,000 for the fountain, guess what that fountain's worth? $700,000. So Texas Tech's argument is someone is willing to pay this, so thus that is what it's worth. And again, I think NIL Go is like, no. We were constructed to say there is going to be, everyone is paid similarly for the same work, but that is going to be the next round of litigation, unless there's always a curveball. And the newest curveball is Congress is stirring, and Congress may be introducing an act, if they can get their act together, which they rarely do, but if they can get it all together, Congress may introduce laws that apparently the schools are fine with. That doesn't mean the kids will be, or their agents, or the plaintiffs' attorneys. But once Congress sort of says, hey, this is the law and this is it, it tends to be pretty final.
A couple of more things, and then we'll go to break and talk about Lashley and Signetti. But first of all, it reminds me this past weekend, my father-in-law passed away 6 months ago, and he was a big Auburn guy. And so we had to go down to Auburn and get a bunch of his stuff because he had a big tailgate thing and he had an actual cabin at this campground with an RV and all this other stuff. And I took somebody here from my office to go help us load a bunch of it up. And meanwhile, so my mother-in-law was like talking about, hey, I got to sell this. I got to do this. I got to figure out what it's worth. And she was talking about how there was one particular piece that she paid, something kind of nice that she paid like 20 grand for. She had all the paperwork, but she paid for it back in 2008 or something, right? She had all the paperwork, everything. And she offered it to the guy that was working for me. She was like, well, just make me an offer on it. And he gave an offer of roughly, I don't know, like $6 grand or something. And she was like, wow. I mean, she came to me, wow, but I paid 20, see? And I was like, yeah, but you've had depreciation and also like a lot of things have changed. He has to do work to this now. And it's like, what I'm saying is,
I mean, not everybody would pay $6,000 for one of Freddie Wigan shoes.
Exactly. What I'm saying is that like he also knows that you're widowed. He also knows that like, hey, I don't have as much, so I can't offer you as much. What I'm saying is the market is different for different people. Somebody else might pay you more. You're right. But what you also are giving up, see, he's like, I'll come and get this thing. Whereas somebody else will have to come and get it. They might pay you more, but they might want you to bring it to them. And then you've got the cost in that. Then you've got the cost in, hey, what if it takes you another year and a half to sell this thing? It's like all these things that factor in. And so that's what I'm saying about the Texas Tech side of it. Like, hey, we're in Lubbock, Texas. We're not near Atlanta.
We're starving for entertainment. Our fans will pay a lot of money to go to an autograph show. There's nothing left to do. There's nothing else to do but tip cows.
What I'm saying, but and that makes perfect sense to me that you can't just say everybody can only pay $5,000 for an autograph because $5,000 in LA is not going to go very far. $5,000 in Tuscaloosa, I mean, you're Johnny Manziel in it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And so maybe my analogy didn't make any sense, and I just
no, I get it. But those are where the arguments will lie going forward. Is what is the fair range of compensation for autograph shows, merchandise, commercials, all the things that the kids do supposedly for that are for their name, image, and likeness. It's got to be related to their name, image, and likeness, or an appearance. They get paid to go to a golf tournament. I mean, again, but per NIL Go, it's going to have to be a similar range of compensation for everybody. To Luke's argument and other people's arguments, that is arguable, and it's going to be.
But it should be. Common sense tells me it should be on a sliding scale. Like if they say, okay, Alabama's going to have an event at Shoal Creek, but they're not going to pay the players as much. Well, the players get to play Shoal Creek. That's a pretty big benefit. But if they say the Texas Tech players get to play at Lubbock City Course,
right,
Lubbock City Links, then you might have to pay them a little more.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Time to talk a little game time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize that you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food and drinks and merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to the first pitch or the first putt or first drive or first kickoff or whatever. And they've got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Take the guesswork out of buying with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. To steal a line from Ben Affleck in the kind of fun movie that's always on TNT called The Town. Have you ever seen that with Jeremy Renner and him?
I have. I did, and I it's been a while, but I recall that I liked it.
It's
bank
fine.
robbery,
I mean, it's not
bank
winning awards.
robbery stuff.
It's
bank
fine,
robbery stuff. Right?
It's fun, but something has always stuck with me. The way Ben Affleck, who I think is from Boston, almost had to use a fake Boston accent in that movie. And I remember he was telling somebody, "Who do you think you are?" And that whenever I ask that to somebody, I always go, "Who do you think you are?" And that's what I want to say to Curt Cignetti and Rhett Lashley. Like, what is wrong with you? Curt Cignetti, first of all, look here, Indiana. Your story last year was pretty cute. It was nice. I mean, you went 11-2 or whatever you did.
Most wins in Indiana history.
Fantastic. And bravo. But the other 120 years you've been in existence, you hadn't peed a drop. You have not done nothing. You know what I said on our chat yesterday? It's like Indiana has been coming to Thanksgiving dinner with us for 120 years. And then this year, last year, yeah, they've never brought a dish. They just show up.
They just show up and eat everybody else's food.
And while everybody else is in the dining room eating and talking, they take their plate into the living room and sit on the floor and watch the Lions play. And, they don't clean up. They don't even take their dishes to the sink. And
take their shirt off. And
this year they bought a fruit platter from Publix. And they say, now, I brought something now. Now you can't complain. They act like they've cooked the turkey all these years. Y'all haven't done anything. So why on earth can you criticize the SEC for doing anything? Let me say this, Indiana. Alabama's playing Wisconsin, who would be probably, I don't even know if they're on your schedule. They'd probably be the second or third toughest team you play this year. We play Wisconsin and Florida State in non-con. Auburn's playing Baylor. Oklahoma's playing Michigan. Texas is playing Ohio State. LSU is playing Clemson. Vandy's playing Virginia Tech. South Kakalaki is playing Clemson and Virginia Tech. I mean, Mississippi State is playing Arizona State. They are giving it a run. You're doing nothing. You're bringing nothing to the table. You're not even playing Ohio State this year.
He says they're adopting an SEC scheduling method. The SEC requires every team in the league to play a Power 4 team in addition to your conference schedule. So everyone's required to play a Power 4 team. So he didn't adopt the SEC scheduling whatsoever. He did the opposite of that. Hey, here's a reminder. Boy, this will get you all riled up again, as if you're obviously riled up with that fantastic Thanksgiving analogy. You don't even like Thanksgiving food.
I hate Thanksgiving, by the way.
You're the guy that brings nothing and takes your shirt off while you eat and watch.
But I recognize it.
But exactly. But you're not talking trash.
But I didn't schedule Old Dominion.
Here's a reminder. This will get you even more riled up. So Indiana made the playoff last year and Alabama did not. I was reminded as I perused through Indiana's schedule, they did not beat a ranked team last year.
No.
They were in the playoff. They did not beat, let me clarify, they did not beat a ranked team in 2024 and were invited to the college football playoff. The best team that they beat all year was Michigan. Hey, granted, Alabama played Michigan and lost. Was in the postseason. I'm not making an excuse. It was embarrassing. That was a terrible performance, and I'm not making excuses. And yes, Indiana did beat a Michigan team that Alabama lost to. True. Indiana beat them at home. Alabama didn't play Michigan in Bryant-Denny Stadium in October. Alabama played Michigan in January when the season was over with rosters that were different than the rosters during the season. His best win was Michigan. How that got them in the playoff. I don't even think Michigan had a winning record at the time they played, by the way. And their second best win, if they said, well, what's second best win? Probably Washington.
I'm looking at it. I'm going to say Washington. And by the way, that was also at home. They played two ranked teams. They played the number 2 team and the number 7 team in the playoffs, Notre Dame. They lost 27-17 in Notre Dame, so they lost by double digits. And they lost to Ohio State 38-15. And they scored late against Notre Dame to make it look more respectable.
Yeah, again, that Notre Dame game wasn't as close as the score sort of indicated.
Hey, look, you got in the playoffs last year. We're sort of like, okay, we're more complaining about SMU getting the playoffs than you.
Correct.
But frankly, you weren't one of the 12 best teams in the country. We all know this.
They had a better case than They had a better case. They had no ranked wins and had a better case than SMU. Correct.
Now, this is who they played last year when they had the best season they've ever had. Florida International, Western Illinois, and Charlotte. So they played those 3 airports last year. This year they play Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State, 3 truck freight lines. So, they stepped it down. You're not even in airports anymore. You're doing 18-wheelers. Give me a break. This is their schedule, Jimmy.
Not even really sure I knew Indiana State had a football team. But go ahead.
Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State, Illinois, at Iowa, at Oregon. Okay, you're at Oregon. Wonderful.
Well,
but it's not.
They didn't play them last year. They didn't play them last year. And they're not going to win that. They're not going to win that game.
You're going to screw around and play a decent team in the Big Ten sometime.
They probably won't beat Illinois.
Then Michigan State at home, UCLA at home, at Maryland, at Penn State. Okay. And at Purdue. I'll tell you this. If they win, if they go 11-1 again, they'll get in the playoffs again.
They have more of a legitimate schedule this year because their Big Ten schedule changed.
But if they go 10-2 and their 2 losses are Penn State and Oregon, if they get in the playoffs,
they haven't beaten anybody.
We're going to raise it.
Their best win then is Illinois, if that happens. If that happens. How about this? I was looking at Big Ten schedules yesterday with this being in the news, and I like our old buddy Locks up at Maryland. I like him. If Maryland makes the playoff this year, they should just throw the whole thing in the ocean. Maryland is in the Big Ten and somehow does not play Penn State, Oregon, or Ohio State. The 3 really good teams in the Big Ten, Maryland plays none of them. And they're, it's just crazy.
They also play nobody in the non-con. They have FAU, Northern Illinois, and Towson.
Who's the best? You're looking at their schedule, and I'm not. Who's the best team on Maryland's schedule? You're looking at it. Illinois?
I'm looking at Maryland's schedule. At Illinois is probably the toughest game. At Wisconsin.
That's like Alabama's 10th game. That's the game that would rank like 10th at Alabama this year.
I would say Florida State is going to be a tougher game this year than Wisconsin.
Florida State on the road. Florida State on the road. Florida State on the road is a tougher game than Wisconsin, period. Wisconsin at home.
Now,
I agree 1,000,000%.
Let me say this so we can move on to our ranking. And then Rhett Lashley, his statements didn't bother me quite as much, but they were just dumb. It wasn't insulting. They were dumb. Rhett Lashley said, with SEC so top heavy, the same 6 teams have won the conference every year since 1964. True. Fair. Okay. But we expanded in 92, and the 2 expansion teams were Arkansas and South Carolina, who have no chance to win an SEC championship in the foreseeable future. Somebody can say, well, they could win it this year. They're not. Then in 2012, we bring in A&M in Missouri. A&M hadn't even been to Atlanta, and when we brought in A&M, they were sort of floundering. They're certainly better now. They're way up there on the blue chip ratio, but Missouri is, they're not even in the southeastern geographically. So now we brought in Texas and Oklahoma. If you would say, okay, let's also count Texas and Oklahoma's win championships in the Big 12, all of a sudden it looks a little bit different. What I'm saying is, only 6 of 10 teams won it till 92. And then we added 2 sort of doormats. When we brought in South Carolina, they were god-awful.
They were terrible the day we bought them in.
The day we bought them in,
good now. Yeah.
And they've only been good a few different years.
They're good now for sure. They're good now for sure.
So, miss me with that stuff. That's like coming to an argument and saying, well, how good could USC be? They've never won the Big Ten. They've been there 1 year.
He's only 6 teams have won the national championship. What conference is he talking about that has more? Who has more?
Did he say national or conference? I thought he said conference championship.
I think he said national championship, but he might have said conference. Either way, it's easier to win other conferences, by the way, when you don't have to deal with 6
No, he said won the SEC. He said
won the SEC. Okay. Again, like you said, that's not counting all the teams that the SEC expanded that had won their conferences. And I don't think put it this way, anyone in the Big 12 this year, anyone can win the Big 12. Any team in that league Is that a feature or a bug? You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Does that make the Big 12 the best conference
No.
because anyone can win it? I would think the SEC is a better conference because, Kentucky, you think you can win the SEC? Yeah, you could win the Big 12. You think you could win the SEC? Because you got to beat Alabama. You got to beat Georgia. You got to beat LSU. You got to beat Texas. You got to beat Oklahoma. I mean, that's what makes the SEC it's crazy what other conferences are coming up with to justify.
Well, here's the other thing. Yeah, only 6 teams have won the SEC since 1964. True. Now, they don't include Kentucky tied Georgia in 76 or something. Okay, don't include them. I don't care. Fine. Let's go 6 because it makes my argument better. All 6 of those teams have won a national championship, though. Most of them have won multiple.
Yep.
Alabama's won multiple. Florida's won multiple. LSU's won multiple. Georgia's won multiple. 4 of those 6 teams have won multiple national championships since 1964. Has the Big 10 done that? Has the Big 12 done that? I mean, just miss me with all this junk. I mean, I'm going to tell you, y'all hate it when we do all our SEC chants. Y'all make us do it when you do stupid stuff like this. Still going to.
I'm like, Rhett, don't make me cheer for Auburn against Baylor. Don't make me do it.
All right, Rhett, you know that's a hollow threat because I can't do it. But I'm going to pretend like I will. There's no chance in hell I'm pulling for Auburn over Baylor. Okay. Tim Keenan.
7th best player on the team. Goes to show how pretty good this football team is where Tim Keenan's number 7 because if there was truly a position that everyone evaluated as nose guard, Tim Keenan may be the best nose guard in the country. I mean, he would certainly be on the short list of the very best ones. What I'm really excited about Tim's season this year is we probably haven't seen the best Tim Keenan yet. If the Tim Keenan we see this year is better than the one we've seen so far, we got a heck of a football player on our hands. He's best as a run stuffer. He's best in the trash. He's best in the trenches, making some play from the bottom of the pile. But what makes him special is every now and then he'll shake that center guard and flush the quarterback. I mean, he can rush the quarterback. That's what makes him an exceptional player. He's also a major team leader. He's the spiritual leader of the team. Again, a solid choice for team captain. He's going to play in the NFL, and he arrived at Alabama with a very serious knee injury that may have cost other players their career. And because of the knee injury, it really put him behind conditioning-wise. It took him a full 2 years before he could really compete. And boy, has he taken off since then. Easiest kid to root for on the team. Bama through and through, a Gump through and through. Boy, thrilled that Tim Keenan's still on this football team. Really pulling for him to have a monster senior year. High-quality defensive lineman in this league. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. And Tim Keenan needs to hear what you're saying.
Tim does need to hear what I'm saying because I love me some Tim Keenan. Look, there's a soft spot in my heart as a member of the HSA radio network for Alabama dudes, born and bred, who are also Bammers, who may not they don't get the recognition they deserve. Tim Keenan plays a position, and he's not a freakazoid physically, so like he's not going to get the love that he should get, even though he's incredibly productive. He loves the university. He really should be a fan favorite. I want him to get the love, at least from our fans this year, that he deserves. He's never going to get the love from the national media because he doesn't, especially at Alabama. It's almost like you need to be Ryan Williams, like have an it factor, or Derrick Henry, be so much bigger, stronger, faster than everybody, because that's what's going to get you noticed. But Tim Keenan is incredibly productive. He's just a really strong, solid player that is also a massive Gump that we love.
Yep.
We love Gumps.
Yep. Popular. He should, like you said, he should be popular because he checks so many of the popular boxes. He just doesn't play a position that produces a lot of stars, because nose guard isn't like pass rusher. Pass rushers, those guys sack the quarterback, and everybody in the stadium sees it. A lot of what Tim Keenan does, we don't see as fans in the stands, so we don't appreciate it, but the coaches do. And when I say a lot of what he does, sometimes he takes up 2 blockers. Mm-hmm. And hey, when he does that, when he takes up 2 blockers, when 2 offensive linemen are like, okay, we got to both work to get that Tim Keenan contained here, that's it. He has more than done his job there. It's not a matter of, well, you've got to break through the double team and go sack the quarterback, Tim. Great. And believe me, the kid's capable of doing stuff like that. But once he just occupies 2 blockers, that's worthy of applause that they forget, right? But boy, when he does that, he's freed somebody up to make a play much easier because Tim's attracting so much attention. And he does, and he'll attract more attention than ever. I do think he has now evolved into the type of player that the opponent has to game plan. And boy, that's a heck of a compliment.
By the way, I think Jaden Roberts' mom listened to the podcast the other day and was happy to hear about how we felt about Jaden. So maybe, Tim Keenan's family will tune in. I like it. We welcome all Keenans.
Please do.
All right.
Hey, listen to all the shows. Feel free.
Yeah, and subscribe. All you.
like and subscribe, right. Keenan family.
All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.